Welcome to the Blood Prison Shakedown. We're back again, and I got some special guests with me today from a haunt in Caledonia, Ohio. It's called Phobia Haunted Trail. I got Emily, I'm not going to butcher your last name, and Cameron Morrison. How you guys doing today?
We're great.
Good, how you doing?
Yeah?
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. So let's get it out. I said I'm not going to butcher your last name. Let's just go there. If you don't mind.
That's
that
fine.
is.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What's your last name?
It's Ollervides.
I'm not even going to say that.
Ollervides.
I like your pronunciation when you emailed me. Like, this is how you say it. I'm going, no way.
Long O. Yeah.
That's good stuff. So how you guys doing? How was haunt season last year?
We had a good season.
Yeah?
We had a good season. Our top year is 2020, so it's kind of hard to beat that at this point. But we had a beautiful weather. We're an outdoor haunt.
Yeah.
And so we were open all nights, which was a huge blessing. And it got us to where we needed to be for the season. So
Right on, right on. That's funny you said that 2020 was your best season.
it was. Well, I think as an outdoor haunt, we didn't really have to comply much with...
Yeah.
A lot of haunts didn't open because they were indoor and they just didn't want to deal with the crap with it. So,
Right.
yeah, but we did social distancing in the line, and if they wanted to wear masks, they could. And
Yeah.
but our haunt, even in 2020 and beyond, they go in as an individual group, so it's really intimate. So you go through with whoever you came with.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Yeah.
that allowed us to kind of comply with what was going on with the regulations. But
Now, did you? We really didn't have. I mean, we did the guidelines that they put out,
Right.
and whatever. Social distance, check temp. We didn't check temperatures of the guests coming in. We just did our crew, and it was just like, okay, beep, 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 whatever. And I mean, we disinfected the haunt. We did like this fog. I don't even know I remember what it was called, but we like every night, or no, it would have been every day before, like at noon, they would come in with these machines and just
I bought one of those machines for our summer camp. It was like a sanitizer for the air. It kind of fogs up, and
So it's just like, well, that's what we did. You know what I mean? And someone told me I got put on a watch list, which I thought was hysterical.
we definitely didn't want to be wardens out there where it's like, measuring tape or anything. We had lines marked in the line where, you're an adult.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do to
Right.
feel comfortable. But I remember one review was like, nobody's social distancing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
There was a few.
if you feel like you want to be social distancing, maybe you shouldn't come out.
Well, and I think that it was just, by that point, because this all happened in March, like February,
Right.
March.
Yeah.
What am I hearing over there? Is that you?
Yep, I'm
Okay,
good.
it's all right. It happened in March, so by the time September hit, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, I'm over with this. I'm done with this stuff, But
People were ready to get out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but that is awesome though, because like that year, you guys that's your record year.
That's when we exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I feel like it went from, a larger kind of backyard haunt feel of taking us to the next level. We kind of got on the map that year as far as being a local option, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I met you guys at the Ohio Haunters meeting that they did here at the Reformatory. What'd you guys think of that?
We loved it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Isn't it cool to like just be around other people that, have similar interests, and, you can talk about the same shit. Oh, this is what we did. This is what, we
Exactly.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. The networking, we sat at a table, and it felt good to be in a position where normally we're the ones being mentored, and there was a brand new haunt sitting at our table.
Yeah.
And so I was
Oh,
giving
cool.
them some tips of like things that we've learned over the past 5 or 6 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
Well, yeah, it was a good time. We did a Cleveland Haunt Club meeting here one time, and that was fun. That was about a year and a half ago. But the networking aspect of it, when people start asking you questions, you're just like, like when I was new, I was just like, how do you keep actors? They're like, yeah, if we knew that, then we'd be millionaires. And I'm just
Exactly.
like, good. I'm not doing dumb shit then. And
We all have the same questions.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And Max is great, Maximus.
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome. I had him on here one time, and he's just, it's just funny. Not funny, but like how everybody we all feel the same way about the same things. It's just, you would never know that. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like doing this, because anybody from like a major haunt, like in a big city, they still have the same mindset as someone, like in Mansfield.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. And it's just, that's a good community to be in, I think.
It is, and I've noticed my background's in the environmental field, and so with getting into the haunt community, it's just good people, willing to lend a hand, willing to reach out, give a hand up and talk. Maximus came up to us, in 2019? Or was it 2020? Was it 2020?
Yeah.
He came all the way up from Springfield, and came to our, at that point, little haunt and walked through with us and gave us some exposure, and it meant a lot.
That's awesome. So, okay, let's talk about how you guys, I always ask this to everybody, because just interested. I know how I did it, but like growing up or getting into Halloween, like what was your, I love this time of year. I love this kind of shit, man. I love scaring people. I love being scared. What brought you to, I want to work at a haunted attraction,
Well, when my aunt, or when I was little, started out, my aunt did a walkthrough on her front porch just for kids to get candy.
Yeah.
And it was a huge hit. So the next year it moved into the garage. And then for several years they did it there. And then we did several just for years later. We did several for a youth center, and one for it was in a barn, but we donated all the money from that to the animal shelter in Marion.
Right on.
But she's the one that got me into it. She always had elaborate yard displays, and
you'd be surprised how many people have told me the exact same thing. I mean, even my last guest, I had Nick and Jess from Fear Columbus, and they're a major, they're a big haunted attraction. Same thing. He's like, I started in the backyard and, the garage, and that's how it starts.
Yeah.
Just with a passion. What about you?
Mine was with my uncle, I guess. My Uncle George, he had like really cheesy props, but we loved it. They were like the blown mold, the plastic props, and he'd bring stuff up from the cellar in the basement, and he took us out on a haunted hay ride, and it was I feel like it was even like during the day, and he would just get family members to pop out at us, and but the odd side of me is I love Halloween. I love operating a haunt. I love acting in a haunt, but I do not love to be scared. My team is like out to get me. They know I'm such. He scared me twice today. He's doing some work in the barn, and he got me twice
today. She was trying
to
sneak up on me to scare me, and I scared her.
So that is the worst thing you can let people know.
I know, right?
Especially doing this,
I just announced it. Yeah, no, but they do. It didn't take them very long to realize that I'm a scaredy pants. So they during haunt setup,
we're gonna get a video. We're all gonna make videos.
It could be like a meme of like Emily being scared during the.
That's awesome. So you said you live in Marion.
Yeah.
Do you live in Marion?
I'm in Caledonia.
Okay, so you're okay. So Marion's got a haunt now, the Haunted Hoorah. You guys ever check that out?
It's during the same hours, so we went when I went when it was in Ashley.
Yeah. I had the guy that owns that brand. I had him. He was like one of my very first guests. Great guy.
Super talented.
Oh man, he's just he's got great ideas. And the haunt, I don't know if you did the whole like extreme thing at the one in Ashley.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was like I couldn't do nothing like that here, but I was just like, that was awesome.
It's
dude.
Inspirational.
Yeah, I was just like, this is probably the most fun I've had in a haunt up to that point.
He's got a really good knack for putting on a show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he did really good. And that again, it's just like he actually called me up and was like, hey, can I hang a banner at your home? I was like, hell yeah. So I had a Haunted Hoorah banner up on the fence, like as you're leaving. That's the last thing you see is like Haunted Hoorah,
Nice.
So they can check that out. And that's another thing that I like to do for people. It's like, hey, we can cross promote, do stuff like that. A lot of people won't do that.
It is. I mean, Ohio. Yeah, Ohio being, I think it has the most haunts according to the numbers. Whether the report, I mean, having somebody like Maximus who's like so involved, I wonder if we really do have the most haunts, or if it's just we have this active community that
I'm pretty
kind
sure
of identifies them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, in just here in my area, I've got there's the Perrysville Haunted Schoolhouse, there's the Trail of Nightmares,
Mohican.
I'm sorry, it's
Mohican
Mohican Haunted Schoolhouse. It's in Perrysville.
Yep.
And there used to be a camp, like there was a campgrounds over there that I don't know if they still do it or not, but there was that, and that's just in like this area. You know, there's how many in Columbus? Cleveland's got Nightmare Cleveland now. That's a new one up there. I mean, they're everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere you go. Haunted trails, haunted houses.
Well, just in the town of Caledonia, we have, there's one called the Deadwoods, which is 10 minutes from us, and then we're only 20 minutes from Hoorah, and we're only 30 minutes from you, and then we have the one in Galleon.
There's one in Galleon?
Well, I guess Ontario. They advertise it, and
that's
it's
the
also
Trail
a trail.
Nightmares. Yeah,
Trail of Nightmares is there. So, you know, just within that 40-minute radius or whatever, we have 5 or 6 that.
Yeah.
So, which is a perk. I look at it as such a perk that people can come and hit them all. And
we did one in Crestline when I was working over there. I was just 3C. We only did 3 seasons because then we came here. But it was like we had like the trail, and there was one over here in Mansfield. What was it called? Rob Wynn ran it. It was called Hollow Wicked or something like that. It was a really good haunt, and we would like all trade flyers, and we'd have this little area where we would.
It's the way to go.
You know what I mean? It's just like it doesn't hurt.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like that's what I always try to advocate for is just like, yeah, man, help me out
with the community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can send customers your way, and you can send them because you have different followings, you have different outreach and footprint, so it makes a difference.
Before I got into the haunt community, that's all we did in October was, go to different haunts all weekend.
Right. See,
every weekend.
I was just getting ready to ask you that. Is like, what do you enjoy going to? I don't know about you since you're so scared, but like, have you been to? Do you try to get to as many as you can?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to as well, but like, because we don't open. So sometimes the early ones in September, like we'll all get together and try to hit those. Well, we open September 20th. I'm like, sweet, we can hit that one before we open. You know what I mean? What's the first haunt you ever went to?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
That many, huh?
From the time I was probably like 12 to 18 or so.
Yeah.
Every year we went to all kinds of... We never seemed to go to the big ones unless they were close. But my mom and them were just awesome at finding all these obscure little trails and barns and all that were just over the top, but you never heard of them. Could never tell you again where they are.
Right.
I know there was one out off Tuttle Ball Road near Marion. Couldn't tell you who ran it, but it affected me as a kid.
Yeah. You had fun though, right?
Right.
Oh yeah. What about you? Have you been to one?
I have been to a handful. Growing up, we had one in Marion. It was like the Fear Factory.
No, Fright Factory.
Fright Factory. Factory in Marion, and we would go every season. We'd get a group of kids together, and my mom would take us. And then there was one out by the Marion Airport. That wasn't really a trail, I guess, but it was out in the open. But it was the first time I stepped on like it was a chainsaw coming after you, and they had like buried mattresses covered in the plastic, and you hit that like quicksand feeling. So yeah, I definitely remember that. That's
funny though, because I grew up in Upper Sandusky, Ohio, which is just north of Marion, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And growing up, I never went to a haunt down there. That's kind of weird. But again, it goes back to there's just so many. I would always kind of go north. Yeah. Findlay had some, Findlay, Ohio. So that's kind of where I would go. But that's awesome, though. Have you ever been to... When's the last time you were at one?
We lived in New York for a while. And we just got in the car and started driving. And there was a haunt somewhere, on our trip. And my husband is... I mean, if I'm scared, he's like really scared. He does not love it. But we went as a couple before kids, and we just stopped and... Yeah, it was good.
Went in? Have a good time?
Yeah.
If you're not scared, it's like, we saw people outside here one day. I'm talking to one of the reviewer guys that come up to review the haunt, and we had this slider guy, and there was these people walking, and he ran up behind him, and he slid, and sparks flying everywhere, and it was probably like 10 of them, and they just all ran. And I'm like, man, I wish I still had that. I wish I still had that. Like, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh my God, someone's really going to kill me.
No, I still feel that way.
When I do go through one and somebody does get me, I always make sure they know, like, good job, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Because Cam's jaded. He's like, he goes through and he'll be like, I was looking to see how that was made and like, how that, he's analyzing it.
Absolutely.
From the artistic standpoint.
Sure.
And so he gives props when he jumps.
Oh yeah. So if you could go to any haunt, Cam, which one would you like? If you can go to any haunt you want. Which one you gonna hit up?
I wish I could have went to Statesville last year.
Oh yeah, in Chicago.
Last year was the year before they closed Statesville, but Hell's Gate definitely.
Hell's Gate.
John the Flame Boy, I love him.
Yeah.
He's doing. He's a pretty big idol, so I'd love to go see him.
I took a class. I think it was him this year at Trains World, and he was teaching. I can't remember what it was about. Oh, it was about midways, and we were talking about
pushing for a midway this year.
Yeah. We were talking about the time ticketing and stuff like that, and he was like, "Nah, I don't like that." He goes, "I don't do time ticketing. I want to keep it regular line, because that way people hit his midway up more, more the more things they got going on out there." But yeah, he was Hell's Gate. What about you? Where would you go?
I actually would come to Blood Prison. I mean, I'm not kissing your butt. I'm not kissing your butt because I love the ambiance here. I mean, it's always been one that I've wanted to do because Shawshank's my favorite movie of all time. Like I've been here several times, so I'm curious to see how your haunt transforms it. Like that's something that I would really like to see in person.
Well, you're talking to the right guy. So you guys should come up on a Sunday. Yeah. Just hit me up.
Definitely will.
Let me know, and I'll bring you guys in, and you guys can check it out. I mean,
sweet.
If you want to come up during the build and see how we build it,
awesome.
Absolutely, come and check it out. But yeah, let me know, man. I can't, knowing you now, though, I'm probably going to radio ahead and be like,
I know.
Here we go. Phobia Haunted Trail. It's the ones you want.
I'll definitely throw her out there.
Yeah. Just be pointing. That's the one right there.
I know. Yeah,
okay. Well, that's all. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I definitely want to check out your guys' haunt. Do you guys do any off-season stuff? Probably.
We don't. No. Eco Center, which is our primary business, operates. We kick off on Earth Day. Mm-hmm. We do a community event, which goes into field trip season, summer camp. So last week of summer camp's in July, and we start blocking off the woods at that point. So we have to
We're kind of like you. We have to tear down.
You have to tear down.
Then we have to wait till a certain point to be able to start building.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that then. So Eco Center opened in 2014.
Yep.
So let's talk about what that is. Explain Eco Center.
So our mission is to provide educational outdoor opportunities, learning opportunities to our local community. So our core audience is pre-K through about 8th grade. We have play structures. Everything's upcycled. So we have an environmental theme, a sustainability mission, rain barrels and composting toilets, and everything on the property is upcycled from something that otherwise would have gone to the landfill. And then we have farm animals there. So at a field trip, you can, go into our little petting zoo and feed the goats and the sheep. And then we do science-based learning. So the teachers who do field trips will select 2 lessons that we have for them to go through, and we provide the 2 lessons. They eat lunch on site, and then they get to just play on the 6 acres that have the equipment. They just run and do the zip lines, and we have a barrel train made out of old drums. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So the haunt came as a fundraiser to get us through the winter and the very beginning of of operation to keep the lights on basically from October through March when we weren't having income.
Sure. Well, that's really cool. So are you guys open, is it set up for events like you're doing these camps, or do you have regular operating hours? How does that work?
We used to do a fall festival. That was our open to the public hours. Okay. And so we kind of did, I think it was 3 weekends of fall festival, 2 weekends of haunt. Mm-hmm. And now we just do haunt. The haunt took over. And so the only public event we have is our free community Earth Day in April. And other than that, it's just private events, either our private events or people coming in for a birthday party or a corporate, rental or something.
Well, that's really interesting then. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you work there then, for Eco Center too, or do you just Phobia?
Mostly Phobia.
Yeah. That's cool.
This year I'm working a little for the eco side.
Yeah. He's helping with we have some site maintenance stuff. He's super handy. He's an electrician. He's like a handyman.
Right.
And he's like a problem solver. So I'm like, Cam, all right, this is what I want, and he'll research it and figure out a way to do it that's good for the budget. And so
good to have guys like you around, man.
He's great.
That's what they say.
So what was the first year of Phobia then?
2015. I think we were open for 1 year. It might have been 16. 1 or 2 years. And I had a high school student. The way we kind of planted the seed was she was working our fall festival, and we have the woods is like 3 acres of the property, and it's already cut out for the educational side. So it existed. It just wasn't haunted yet. And so she's like, you guys should do a haunted trail. And I'm like, oh, I hate those things. I'm terrified of them. Like, I don't think I could do it. I'm so scared. And she's like, no, really, like, you should look into it. And so, you know, I just started thinking about it. And I'm like, we really could operate that. We have this big parking lot, you know. And so in the first 3 years, it was like family and friends. Like, you got to do this for me. Like, get out in the woods, you know, like, put on this costume. And so now it's definitely more outside help. Now it's like our haunt family, but it's not as much pressure on my immediate family, like my, you know, to come and help out and do it. But
that's really cool though, because when you can just go out and be like, hey, we're going to do this. We got the land. Let's go for it. And then you can make it your own. And that is half the battles is parking.
It is.
You know, we got a giant parking lot. So right there, you're in the clear a little bit. It's like, well, we have places for people to park.
Right.
You know, so you can see how big you can get like each night, you know.
And it is. It's in 2020. So we actually own the lot across the street from us, and it is out in the country, but it's a 3 acre lot in front of Eco, directly in front. And we had to do overflow parking from our regular parking lot, so that was another dynamic. And then if it rains, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's
I actually had 59 lined pretty good.
Yeah.
Because we hit over 700 one night out of nowhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It was like we weren't expecting it, and so
that's great though.
Just
good problem
park
to have.
across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, just pull over.
Yeah.
Pull over, get in line. You'll
They're
be fine.
in my front yard because my house is like on the property too. It's like my house, the barn, the parking lot, and people were like in my front yard in front of my house. Like,
looks like an old high school kegger going on.
Yeah,
You guys are
right.
having the haunt. Yeah, that's good stuff. So, what you said the first year was 15?
Yes.
Okay, so you started that in 15, and talk about how it's grown from the first year until last season. I mean, what you mentioned that 2020 was your big year.
Right.
How has it grown, like, from your first year to your current one?
Yeah. So the first year we opened, I think we had like, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 people a night. Just straggling in, and we had this bonfire going up front, and all the actors would come up, and we'd see a car coming down this country road, right? And we'd be like, "Car's coming, get back to your spots," and they'd drive by, and you're like, "No, never mind, false alarm, come on back." So it was very, very small, very sporadic, and definitely like our set design and everything was very minimal. We built it in like, I don't know, maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks in the very beginning. And then as our clientele started growing, so we've always been very actor dominated. Having a good team, that there's a lot of them there, and even though our props might not be, at the highest level at that point, or even now, really. I mean, we do a lot of stuff in house, and so it's very actor dominated, and then people just word of mouth started to enjoy it. It was very intimate. They could come and have a good time and go in with their group and
not get stuck in a conga line through it or anything.
Right. So, and now it takes us 2 months to build. 2 months to build, 2 weeks to break down. Yeah. But we started leaving up, I guess what you would consider for the zoning department, like semi-permanent structures in the woods that during summer camp or whatever don't look haunted on the inside, but we can keep our props in there and we don't have to recreate the actual structure,
right?
When we're in there. So that's helped cut down on some time.
So let's talk about Cameron's, what he does for the haunt. So you are a character in the queue line called, what's your character called? Schizo, the clown?
Yeah.
Now, how did that come to be? Is that something out of your brain? How did that work?
I've been schizo for, it'd be 14 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Started out as one of the typical Scream Team foam prosthetics with a long chin and a green wig, and I kind of got rid of all that.
Yeah.
turned him into the big purple asshole he is now. I mean, I've always been an asshole. The clown just kind of gave me a reason to.
Yeah.
He's like
everybody I know. Everybody hates, it's your stereotypical clown character.
Yeah.
Everybody hates.
That's all right,
especially
though.
in the industry, we like to hate on clowns, and I too hate 90% of clowns.
Yeah.
Like when I go somewhere,
believe me,
like, away from me.
I could get you started on the clown conversations that we've had here, not just at Blood Prison, but like in the studio here. People talk about, their disdain for clowns, and I'm, but a lot of people have asked me, it's like, why do you have clowns? Why do you hate your prison? I'm like, because people are scared of them.
they really are.
It's not about what I like. It's about what they like.
Right.
That's how it works.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So do you enjoy doing that? Do you enjoy scaring people and and getting the thrills out of them?
Yeah, I've always wanted to, like, we always did the small haunts, and I think it was 2018. I can't even figure out what year it was now.
Yeah.
But I reached out to Emily and wanted to join her, and then came out there, seen the potential I had out there, and told them, I was like, look, I want to, become part of the family and help you make this place grow.
That's great, though, because a lot of people now, especially when, they're really good, they'll be like, well, I think I'm just going to travel around this year. It's like, you know what, dude? Come on. Seriously? That's not, you're not going to get anywhere to do it. I mean, listen, we're a haunted house.
Right.
Just come in, and do your thing here. But I love hearing that. People's like, no, I want to be there. That makes for your best actors.
It is, and we've tried, from day one of like kind of transitioning from this obligatory, brother out in the woods, which my brother is still one that he's a great haunter. He's very animated, and so he's still with us. But my friends that I had out there, and they've gotten off the hook and transitioned into people who want to be there because they love to haunt. And they love being a part of something, and we respect, their ideas, and everybody can kind of be a part of it.
Sure.
I hope I don't run it like a big, like, Stalin like hunt of, like everybody can come with ideas and give their input. And
well, I mean, I tell them, I do the exact same thing. I say, listen, ideas are welcome all day, every day. I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to use them,
right?
But I want to hear them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've heard some wild things. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, dude.
You ain't going to be able to do that 500 times a night, man.
We did start a suggestion box because like right before we'd open, I'm like a lunatic, right? Everything's in my head and be like, hey, I was thinking tonight, and I'm like, I can't even focus on you right now. Like, put it in the box. Put your suggestion in the box.
Yeah, I hear you. Because everybody wants to come to you when it's like, dude, design and idea time's over. Okay, it's like, September.
Right.
So we're going to run with what we have. You know what I mean? That's the other funny thing. So how you said you did schizo for how long? 14 years?
Yeah.
So where did you work at then before Emily? Or Phobia, sorry.
Just our backyard haunts mostly.
Just doing your thing. Okay. That's cool.
And it is. Cam, he designs his own costume. He does everything. Like, nothing is commercial on him. Like,
I've always wanted to figure out how to make this my way of making a living.
So do you
That's
wear...
always been the goal. Not schizo in particular, but just
doing the haunting. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that what you do? Are you doing that now, or do you have another job?
No.
No? You just do the haunt stuff?
I just work for Eco.
Yeah. That's great, though. I mean, I worked at a factory before I got this gig. That's real.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I did other stuff, too. I worked in, radio, and I did, the movie thing with the one special effects dude. But it was like, even that was hit and miss. You know what I mean? So the fact that I'm here, it's like, it's a good feeling.
Sure.
That not everybody gets, everybody wants, but it's kind of fun that you can sit there and say, yeah, I work in a haunted house.
It's a leap of faith. I mean,
right.
I went into a local middle school, and I actually presented on how art can be something other than just painting the Mona Lisa.
Right.
How can you find a way to express yourself with art in a way? And so I used Phobia as how it's an artistic expression, at Eco, and you're recruiting at the same time.
Right.
Well, yeah, advertising, recruiting at the same time. But I asked them as part of my interaction with them to design their own haunt station and their own unique character. Mm-hmm. And we're going to build a middle schooler's idea. Whoever wins this contest is going to have a station at Phobia for 2023.
Nice.
And I wanted to inspire them, I guess, to think outside of the box of like, you know, you don't have to be an acoustic guitar player who is starving and, you know, going from gig trying to make it in Nashville type of thing. Like there are ways
of,
That's and
awesome.
it is a leap of faith though. It's
really is,
scary. And I mean, I walked away from a very good paying corporate job and opened up Eco with nothing. I mean, nothing. And it's just a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked away from a $45,000 a year job last year during Haunt. I
He's
was
bye.
if I keep working, I'm not going to be able to focus on this and make this what it needs to be.
Well, and I mean, I get, you know, that sometimes it's like, look, you know, you got to pay your bills and, you know, your car payments, all that shit, gas. But happiness in what you're doing, it really counts for, it counts for more than just making, you know, this much money.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm miserable. Because like where I was working before, I was the same way, dude. I was making money hand over fist. You know, all the overtime I wanted, but I'm like, this sucks, dude. I hate it.
It's a treadmill. It's just a treadmill in life. And
felt like if I didn't get out and just pull the trigger and go for it, then it would never happen.
Right. Yeah.
Did it.
Never too late. You might as well. That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that. Because, you know, again, some people just don't have the balls to do that, you know, and that's sometimes just what you need. Yeah. It is. It's scary as hell. Because then you got to look at your family and be like...
It's a different type of scary.
Yeah. It's a real scary.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Holy shit.
Right.
This could go bad. Because you think, well, there's so many haunts in Ohio, it's got to be good.
Right.
You know?
Right.
No, I get that, man. So, do you do, like, your own makeup and everything when you're doing your... Do you do prosthetics or anything, or is it just makeup and a wig? Or
my wig is all... like where the seam is around my forehead's all latex and done like a prosthetic, but other than that I put the white on and then my wife does all the detail work.
Does your wife, she gets involved too? Like, does she haunt?
Oh yeah, I turned her into a clown. She used to hate clowns. Wouldn't even look at me when I was a clown. Now she's
a chainsaw clown. She has a little chainsaw and
Oh yeah, so
she's hardcore.
Let's talk about the dancing nun.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did that happen?
I don't know. It honestly, I always say I got stuck in the haunt. I felt like when I first opened that I would be at the front gate, kind of trying not to let everybody in for free. Like I try to stay away from my own front gate because I have a tendency of like, just go in, you know. So I was back in the back, and my sister let this couple, the very first customers Phobia ever had, she let them through like 15 minutes earlier than we were open. And so my brother and I were back there. Nobody was in their stations. And luckily I had some sort of makeup on to kind of step into a haunt role. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to scare these people, right? Like they're back here on the trail and I'm going to have to interact with them as a haunter. And I never left. Like I loved it so much being on that side of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's empowering, and I mean it was funny, and then having like, you know, we call them the haunt teams, like we segment it off. And so the nun, I don't even know how it came about. I love to dance. Like I'm known in my circle of friends, like get some drinks in me and I'm the one like grinding on the dance floor, and now I'm this 40-year-old dancing nun who...
I think it happened because of that. You just had that mask on when you were doing that.
It could have been, yeah.
So you wear a mask.
It's like a spirit Halloween. It's a stupid like
it's
latex.
The nun mask from
Spirit Halloween.
God, what movie is that?
No, she's not the scary. She's like an old woman.
No, it's not. I'm not talking about that. Oh. The scary nun.
Oh.
The heist or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
So people, I probably did. I probably put it on, you know, got it 50% off or something the year before when they, you know, and I put it on. We were probably having an after party and I was like dancing and being stupid and no, but people love her. I mean, and I do have, you know, people are like, oh, that mask though, you need to switch it out. And I'm like, it does have, even though it's Spirit Halloween and it's kind of cheesy, it does have like this effect of where like people think I'm cheesy when they see me and they're like, oh, you're just, you know, and they trust me because my face is kind of friendly and looks like an old woman, you know, and then I start grinding and being, you know, dancing and acting a fool. But then I like crawl and I jump things and I have a decent scream, and so they don't know really what to expect. And so, no, she's a great character.
Has gotten in trouble by her daughter.
Yeah.
I have an 8th grader, and
they hate that.
She made the mistake of telling her people who I was, because they were talking about the dance. We love the dancing nun, and then she loved, oh, that's my mom. And so I said, you shouldn't have told him that. You should not have told him that was your mom. Like, I cannot be held accountable for what I do on a haunt night. You're
not. That's not you when that mask is on.
No,
it's totally
that's my
different.
alter ego. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. So.
And the embarrassing my children part comes out even more when I'm wearing that mask.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you had mentioned that the dancing nun thing, so I knew I wanted to ask you about that. Which I'm like, do you wear like the Hobbit and the whole costume?
Well, it has a habit like incorporated with the mask.
Yeah.
And then I have a rosary and like a form-fitting black. It's actually like I got it from an Amish garage sale. It's like an Amish black long sleeve, very conservative dress.
Yeah. Very conservative, grinding, dancing.
Well, I like show off my legs.
She's like showing ankle. Look at that.
I bring it up.
Yeah. So what do you do then? So you're in Caledonia, Ohio. So you're going to get a lot of younger kids now. Do you have an age limit for that, or acting, guest? What's your age limits on that one?
We like 16 and up for our actors, but we kind of cap it. We have like a cap of like 10 kids within the haunt, including our kids that haunt and my nephews and stuff. So we want it to be mostly adult driven as far as the actors go. Age limit for the haunt is 10 and up is what we recommend. But, people will reach out to us and we're like, your kid better than we do. If you want to bring your 6-year-old. But our team...
You've had infants.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
We have had infants.
That's nuts.
It's crazy. I
mean,
they're
we
just
even charge them to try to deter them to deter them, and they still like, oh no, we'll pay $20 for our 6-month-old to go through. It's like, what's wrong with you?
I couldn't do that. I couldn't let somebody come in with it. They've tried. Like the one people. This is just last year. Like I got a call on the radio. They're like, so there's somebody in line that has a stroller, and I was just like, gosh, what is going on? Well, it turns out they were coming in and they had their stroller. Then their parents took the baby. And then when they got done, their parents went and got in line. And I was just like, that would have been a first.
Yeah.
A stroller.
Yeah.
Coming in. I'm like, dude, you're not bringing that in here. What's going on?
No way.
That's good stuff. So you got a 10-year-old out there. And what does the dancing nun do when they see a kid? Because you're not going to do the same thing you do when you just see some strapping young lad walk by.
Right. And neither does Cameron. And I will say that about the team. Like, we even have, like, kind of pep talks about if there's a 6-year-old... be age appropriate, right? Like
absolutely.
If they're coming through and there's 4 8-year-olds in the group, don't drop the F-bomb with them.
Although that would scare them.
No, right.
For life.
Like be age appropriate, like and so I don't grind on any little kids, but you know your property, and so it's like where you can like find your little nooks and crannies to get in there and find them. So
that's just funny because when you see those little kids and, sometimes the actors will get, too friendly and I'm just like, don't get too friendly. I want them to be a little scared.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm not like Andrea. Just, I won't take my teeth out or anything and be like, it's an act.
Yeah.
Like
no.
Your parents paid for this to happen. They want to see it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Give them a show.
That's like good cop, bad cop. Because like if I see a kid crying, I will flip up my mask and I'll be like, we're just people. Yeah. We're just people, babe. Like, I'm a mommy, and then the parents will be like, thank you so much, thank you. And then, they'll dry their tears and they'll make it through. And I think that's like a...
And here comes Cam, get out of the way.
Yeah, he does.
I've been nice, but then I always like to tell him, but you better sleep with your mom and dad tonight.
Yeah. He's like...
just for the parents.
He's like a sarcastic, insulting clown. That's how I described you at the middle school. I'm like, who knows schizo? And all their hands raised. And I'm like, how would you describe schizo? And they're like... he's mean, and they're like, he's terrifying, but he's very, he really owns his character, and you're sarcastic.
Yeah, well, that's good though.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you can give it back if someone, because people are always going to give you shit.
Right.
When you're, whatever, dude, and if you can give it back to them. I saw this one, I might have told this story here before, but it's my favorite clown story. I don't want to mention his name in case he sees it, but he'll know it's him when I tell the story. The first experience I had with this guy was in Crestline. He was one of our clowns, and he was a Q line dude, and he had this really obnoxious high pitched voice, and he would spray his finger with that stinky shit smelling, and he called it a stinky pinky. And he had and he had the top hat and everything. And he's amazing guy.
God, I love it.
And he would go, my first experience with him was I was walking up through the queue line, and I hear him talking to a mom and a dad and their daughter. Now, their daughter was 15, 16. She wasn't a little kid or anything. And he said something to her like, what's the matter? Because they were all just like, it was mid-October, so that was kind of chilly. And they're like, are you cold? Are you cold? And he was like, they're like, yeah, we're kind of cold. What about you, dear? Are you cold? And she was like, yeah, I'm kind of cold. He's like, hey. And he's like, can everybody just stand in a big circle and piss on her? And I was just like, what the fuck just happened here?
Right.
I'm like,
I know.
What? But he was good at reading the parents because they just laughed. And then she was just like, what the hell? And they laughed about it. It was all a good joke, and it was in good fun.
And that's the point. You have to have an actor who can read the parents that are accompanying them, right? Like, because we had an incident on the trail where this little 12, he's like 12, and he's like, I'm gonna post up on you, and he got in one of our actors' faces, and and he was like, oh yeah, and it could have been played off, like to the point where it was like, okay, that could have been in character, because she gave a 5-star review, and she's like, I do feel like one of the actors took a little too far, because it really was. Like, it's like, know your place, know your role, know your...
Yeah.
Because it can get dicey.
Absolutely. You don't know what they're going to do.
No.
Have you've been punched. You've been punched
Oh,
before.
yeah.
Yeah. It happens. Especially in teenage kids coming through there.
Yep.
They think they own the world.
I was like, it's a compliment. Like, they're not trying to be hard. Like, they're just trying to survive at that point. Like, it's a fight or flight mechanism that's happening to them. And that's like, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Like, he scared him. And the guy didn't like to admit that he got scared. I'm like, that's a compliment. Like, just go back to your station and get ready for the next group.
Exactly. Just peel off and,
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you got to tell them. But some of them just it's harder for them to do that.
Right.
Especially when someone's kind of being a jerk.
Yeah, and they can be.
Yeah.
Oof.
Because a lot of people come in going, well, I paid $20 to get in here, so I can do whatever I want. No, not really.
No.
It doesn't really work that way. Actually, we can do what we want.
Exactly.
You're paying for the abuse. So
That's one of Schizo's favorite things to tell somebody is, you paid me $20 to treat you like it.
That's right, man. So you guys mentioned you set up and tear down. How much goes into your guys' haunt every year as far as like, this is what we're going to do this year? I mean, is it an all-year thing where you're prepping to just trying to change it up or make it different? What goes into setting your guys' haunt up?
Every year it is different. We reutilize the props, but we've never had an exact haunt from the year before or the year before that. So it might be the same building, but it might be in a different direction, or it's set up in a different scene, whatever. But yeah, it takes at this point like two months we set up July, August, and September, the end of July. So it's much more in depth now of like focusing on the details, trying to get those like structures up. But yeah, we do change it up every year. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So then how long, like as soon as you walk into the haunted attraction or to the trail, how long does it take you to get through that?
So if you're a runner, about 20 minutes. If you're like a creeper, like up to 35 probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So last year, 2 years, we've had an extension of a corn maze. So you come out of the woods and enter directly into a corn maze. Mm-hmm. But this year's soybeans. So we're going to incorporate, we have a tall grass prairie.
Yeah.
And so instead of the cornfield, we're going to, because I'm like, we can't go back from having, it take 35 minutes to taking 20.
Right.
When they're used to getting that. So, because now we're at that level where they remember, so.
Sure.
Every year we keep going bigger and then have to go bigger the next year.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, man. The bigger the longer they're in your haunted attraction, even if it's not as active as an area, the walk time is important.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you want people to be in there and be like, holy shit, we were in there for 40 minutes?
And the disorientation, like that's one of the things we focus on is just like, it's always the same woods and they're always on the same trail, but we don't utilize every part of the trail that exists. So sometimes we might, in 2023, we might pull them to the left instead of to the right. So it's like, where are we going?
Yeah. We didn't do this before, yeah.
Right.
So do you guys go to Trans World?
We haven't. I haven't. Have you been?
No.
No?
I've made it a point that we're going next year.
Gotta go.
It's been on our list, yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, you guys are gonna. Yeah, you'll love that. It's one. It's just fun.
Right.
But two, it's like you're just gonna go in and be like, holy shit, how am I gonna get all this?
Oh, right.
Yeah, because it's like there's just so many good vendors out there, and a lot of them are right here in Ohio.
That's awesome.
That's what I've been learning, man.
Yeah.
How much there really is in Ohio.
Yeah.
I can't believe we don't have a huge convention.
Well, we used to.
Right.
Midwest. It wasn't huge, but it was Midwest Hunters Convention, and we used to be in Columbus.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to it since it's moved to Chicago. So,
right.
You know what I mean? But it was fun. It was more for the haunter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it was like, haunters would go and have fun. They'd still have the vendors down there and everything. But, yeah, you guys got to get to Transworld. That's,
we're definitely going next year.
Yeah.
We bought a hearse last year, so we want to get her out and get her around to some of the events and so forth. So,
on that, do you guys? So if you don't go to Transworld, do you buy anything from anybody, or do you guys build your own stuff? Or
I've purchased several from like artists on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
Handmade stuff.
Masks
but
and
we've really and Cam's been a huge part of this. We do a lot of our own stuff. Like we've tinkered with small motors, with animatronics a little bit here and there. We built an electric chair for like a photo op that sparks with some stuff we got from FX Props, and so little by little, like upping the game, I guess. But we are looking into getting into like molding our own stuff for either resale, but definitely like we want to do a crypt. Right. And to do a crypt the right way would be super expensive. So like looking at ways to be able to produce our own stuff, like that's realistic and not, made from China type thing.
Well, if you guys go to Transworld next year, then we definitely got to meet up. We definitely got to go. You're going to hang out at the Marriott bar. That's where everybody hangs out. And, we'll go City Museum, all that stuff. I take my crew out there every year. And, they got this giant museum called City Museum. And Transworld rents it out for a night, and you can buy tickets to it, and it's just basically a giant interactive museum with caves and
neat.
Oh, dude! And they got a 10-story slide, so you got to get all the way up, and then you can go down this giant 10-story slide. It's awesome. If you've never been there, it's a lot of fun. I know a friend of mine that I see him there every year. He goes, "I'm the only one here because I just like going to this."
Yeah.
There's so many things like that go on that it just makes Transworld. Plus, sometimes they'll do lights on tours at other haunts, so you can kind of go and check out the darkness, which is kind of the staple in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they did a lights on thing last year where you could kind of walk through the haunt and check it out and see what it looks like. It wasn't really a lights on tour; it was just no actors.
Right.
You know what I mean? With house lights, not not house lights, but the haunt lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still see how they did things and stuff like that. It's and they got classes too that you can take.
That's
for
important.
Marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where we find ourselves as a haunt, I guess, is getting to that point where we do feel like we're part of the community now. It's not like we're in survival mode. Now we're in creative mode.
Yeah.
If that makes it
Sure.
So we need to get it on our calendars and make it a priority.
She said 2020 was our
breakout year.
It was more of our breakout year.
Yeah.
Than our record year.
Yeah.
Right.
Since then we've been growing, but 2020 was the year that we went from, feeling like it was 100 people coming a weekend to holy shit, what happened?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That 700.
That's awesome though, man.
That night that we hit 700 people, the most was 300 before that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and of course the chainsaw goes down, the backup went down. I was back at we didn't even have queue line actors at that point. It was just because there weren't enough people to stand in line to need entertained. You came in and you went through the hunt. And so he was back at the finale, and I called my 87-year-old grandpa at that point. I'm like, "Grandpa, bring me a chain." I'm crying. "Bring me a chainsaw. Our chainsaw's down." I'm back there in my costume, fumbling around with the chainsaw. And he came up to me and he's like,
I'm trying to help her fix the
Yeah,
chainsaw
he's like-
between groups.
between groups, you know, they're coming together.
Yeah.
And he's like, Em, it's gonna be okay. He's like, just take a deep breath. And I like looked up at the stars and I'm like, this is what we wanted. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here upset about something that we
Yeah.
wanted for 6 years, you know, but it just, we weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but you learn.
It was learning. It was
Yeah.
a huge learning experience.
Absolutely. And now you're ready for it. And
Yeah.
here's something that's good on you guys is that if they're coming to Caledonia, Ohio to see this haunt, then you're doing the right shit.
Yeah.
You know what
Thank
I mean?
you.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's real.
Thank you very much.
You know, because like I got this building and people want to come inside this building. So that's like, you know, I mean, we do the best we can do. We do, you know, a good haunt, but it's like we got this really cool venue. When
Yeah.
you're in a little town and you're
Right.
like, next thing you know, you're like, what the hell's going on? Where's all these
Right.
people? You guys are doing the right shit. People are talking about it. And that's what I told a friend of mine who wanted me to come to his haunt, check it out. And I did. And wasn't that great? And I didn't want to say that, but I just told him, I was like, you gotta make people want to come here.
Yeah.
That's the hard part about being in a small town and opening a haunt is people got to talk like you've got
Get
to
excited.
check this out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it feels good to have, like, we started doing hoodies for sale. You know, we're not like, he's talking about doing like a runway or whatever, but merchandising and to see people, to be out in your community. Like, I was at a Chipotle and this girl walked in with a Phobia Haunted Trail sweatshirt. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. There's one of our sweatshirts. So it
Yes.
felt really good.
Yep, it is. That is nice to do because I wear my Blood Prison stuff everywhere I go. You know, my wife's like, "Why do you wear?" I'm like, "It's advertising."
It is,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, I got to do that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, when you see that, you're just like,
On our way here,
"Damn right."
Yeah.
on our way here, I was joking with her. I said I went home and took off a dirty Phobia sweatshirt
Yeah.
to put on a clean Phobia sweatshirt to come do the podcast.
Hey, you got to get your name out there, man. And speaking of names, how did Phobia? Where'd that come from?
I had like 3, I don't even remember what the other 2 were, and our theme is, it's not like a storyline. Up to this point, it hasn't been a storyline, and we just focus on phobias, right? Each station is supposed to push you to some sort of a limit,
Sure.
you know, whether it's arachnophobia, claustrophobia, you know, fear of sharp objects. We added trypophobia, the fear of holes this year, you know, so each one's different, and I liked the idea, I guess, of pushing people in a way that it wasn't as much of a storyline as, like, if we're all clowns, some people might be into it, you know, might not be into it, but
Right.
we got to have clowns, and then, you know, like, how can we get every single person at least one time on the trail
Yeah.
so
Well, it's a good name.
thank you.
I mean, Haunted Trail, yes, but Phobia. That's a good name. I mean, that just.
I think it's catchy. I mean,
Well, it
yeah.
it gives you that. What am I going to see when I get there? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a good name.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So when you're acting, okay, both of you, I've only acted one time, one night the whole time I've been doing this. I've acted one time, and it was just last year, like
Okay.
literally, like in a costume and everything. What do you do? Like, is there a routine for you when you're getting the makeup on that psychs yourself up to get you ready for how you're going to scare these people? What do you do before?
Usually before, like right before we go out, me and her brother act like idiots together.
Yeah.
Alone in the makeup area,
Right.
psych each other up.
Hell yeah.
But
My brother's very muscular, and he's tatted up, and he wears a
he's
butcher's
baby
apron.
face.
Yeah.
His character's baby face, and he has an Etsy mask on as well. And they just feed off of each other. For me, it's loud music, dance music, like getting me in the vibe. Like, I put on my black makeup, I put on my mask, and then if you're playing like some sort of like dirty music, that's what, like, pump it, get the. I know you wouldn't know, right?
Wait, let's dirty music. What are we
Yeah, you
talking
gotta
about
grind.
here?
Like, I'm a grinder. I'm like a naughty dancer.
Play some Genuine or something like that.
Yeah.
She's going.
I don't know
She's
if
out
my
there just taking shots.
I don't know if my hips are gonna take it much longer, but
Yeah.
Sure, you're gonna have to have the shots.
No.
no, I don't need the shot. I don't drink during haunt. Nope. I might drink after it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have to. Especially once now that you're getting bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, oh boy, gotta have a drink after that one. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's great. I'm glad you guys are like thriving down there in Caledonia, man. I want to check it out.
Thank you.
I wanna come
We'd
and
love
check
to
it
have you
out.
anytime. I mean, even in the off season, if you want to come through and just
Really?
kind of see our
Right,
setup,
yeah,
absolutely.
I might do that. I might
Yeah.
just reach out to one of you guys and be like,
Sure.
hey, can I come down this
Yeah.
weekend? Or,
Yeah.
check that out because,
We got some big plans this year, so
yeah. Well, I'm telling you, if you guys, like, here's the other thing. If you go to Trans World, like, you'll want to maybe, like, do some research on who's there and see some stuff that you're looking for and order before you go to Trans World. Because that's, I mean, I get stuff at Trans World, but
Yeah.
I always order before I go because it's getting so big now. Like, the industry is growing so big, and it's there. It's not growing. We're there.
Right.
That a lot of the places are just like, there's
Out of stock.
some of them don't even come to Trans World anymore because they're like, I can't take any more orders. I don't
I've
have
seen
enough.
that online. I
Yeah.
mean, people are like, order ahead of time, order ahead of time and get it in because we're just bringing orders to
Yeah.
Trans World, right?
Yes.
Like, we're not going to have much there to,
What
because
we
we can't
have
keep
here.
up with,
Yeah.
we can't keep up with,
Which is a good problem to have,
great.
but when you see some of the stuff, you're just like,
I want it.
I gotta have that. So you gotta like get on it quick. And the stuff ain't cheap
Yeah.
by any stretch, but it's worth having.
You get what you pay for, right? I mean, and that's where we wanted to put in the high quality products kind of like with our own design or supporting the local businesses like that where it's not that whole commercial side of the hunt of it's creative and it's unique and
we're looking at moving forward into getting into prop making.
Sure.
in the off season, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll see.
Hey, it's another way because like even some of the props you can make and like you said, merchandise them or market them as like, hey, we got some of this stuff for sale in our gift shop or whatever.
Right.
People want to do that kind of stuff. Maybe you'll be at Trans World one day
Right.
as a vendor.
Oh, that's done. That's
That's
goal.
his goal.
Yeah,
my goal.
absolutely.
Right.
I wanted to go to Kurtzman's school when he was in Crestline, but
Oh yeah.
I didn't
Well,
have
that
to
was
back then. I know that
that was short lived. Let's just put it that way. But I mean, you know what? I'll talk to you because I still work there, like on a part time basis. I still kind of work at Creature Core. I mean, Marion's not real far from Crestline. Maybe we can. You can come over and we'll bring you
Definitely.
in, latex and molds, pour some foam, all that good stuff. I mean, we'll show you.
He would be.
I would definitely be ecstatic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk afterwards,
Right on.
and I'll see if I can hook that up for you because I know you'd like it.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely an interesting cast of characters over there. But like I said, even in Ohio, like Creature Core, where I kind of do
Bit of a
that.
fan of Robert.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. But there's also Unit 70.
Mm-hmm.
There's Beastcraft. The Scare Factory, which so that's just God. There's Closed Casket. That's all in Ohio.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
and all
Every
good
time
stuff.
I hear that they're in Ohio, I just keep finding out more and more of them.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't even realize we're in Ohio.
We're so twisted. Why is that? Right?
That's a good thing for what we do.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it does get repetitive at times, but it's really kind of like what you want to learn in that instance. And over there, I mean, we do animatronics, we do masks,
Right on.
props, pretty much everything. But man,
Awesome.
we'll get you over there. We need
Appreciate
people that are enthusiastic and want to do that stuff. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's so talented. I mean, without having, he's super self-taught and he finds a solution, and so it's
Oh, yeah.
something he could make a lifestyle out of. I think outside of haunt season.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's always like, do you guys suffer from the haunt depression after the season's over? You got the actors like, oh man, I want to come back this weekend and, get back on the trail and scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But they're not allowed to say the word haunt until January 1st. That's a rule. They're like, Emily. I'm like, not till January 1st. I need
Yeah.
some time.
Was it last year that Friday the 13th was in November? Or the
Oh
year
yeah, they're
before?
like, come
There's
on.
there's one in October this year.
Yes,
The 13th is
yes,
in
it
October.
is.
It's Friday
It
the
is.
13th.
Friday the 13th
Me
is in
and my
October.
wife didn't plan things very well. We got married on October 13th, just so that every 7 years it would fall on October 13th.
Oh.
And then
Yeah,
we
way to go.
became full-time haunters.
Yeah.
So we never get to,
Yeah.
to do our anniversary in October.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. We got married in September, and I did it because I'm not really so much anymore, but I was a big sports guy. I loved football, and I'd always watch football every Saturday and Sunday. And I said, let's get married in September. Let's get married during football season to show you that I am not. And now I'm just like, it's always opening weekend or something because it's September 26th. Right. So it's like always that weekend. I'm just like, sorry, babe. I'm going to be, It
was just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
When Max and Carly announced their engagement, I said, dude, biggest advice I got is do it after November.
Yeah, right.
I was like,
true.
Because you don't want to get married,
April.
during haunt season, but like summer weddings. I've been in so many summer weddings. It's just like, come on, dude. No, I'm not putting on a tuxedo.
No.
You know what I mean?
Fall weddings are the best.
They are. They
really are.
I think so. That's just me. But again, that backfired. So something else creeping on Facebook. I hate again saying that,
right.
but when I was looking at your guys' pages, Emily, I noticed you on your Facebook page said, "Do you speak Spanish?"
I do. Yeah.
Really, like fluent? You can speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Do you use that in the haunt?
My husband does, and I do. So we have what is it?
He was saying blood.
No, yeah, he was like, quiero tu sangre, and people thought he was saying lasagna. So they're walking out.
He's saying, "I want some blood."
Yeah, like I want your blood. I want your blood, and he's like, they're like, why is that guy saying lasagna? I mean, so I was before I became the nun. We have a bridge that goes over a vernal pool, and we put some walls on it and like padded it. And I was in a wheelchair character where I'm like, I'm in a straitjacket and I'm like banging myself against the walls, and I would speak in Spanish like demonic.
Yes.
But it would be like, I don't know, like, voy a caminar a tu casa, like, and they're like, what? Like, what's going on? Because and I would just like, I'm gonna walk to your house. That's all I was saying.
Right.
Right. Like, I'm gonna walk. So just very random Spanish.
Sounds different when you say it that way.
Right. And you add like this scary voice to it, and then I would like race out at them, and
Her
I've used
husband
Spanish.
don't like to talk in the haunt. He acts, but he don't ever like to make noise.
Yeah.
I told him, dude, tell them they have nice shoes in Spanish.
Right.
It just make it sound mean.
And like kind of do hunchback over, and so I've used it.
Now, have you used it and then someone reply? Have you had that happen?
No.
No?
No, we have had some Hispanic groups go through, and I spoke to them knowing that they would understand me, like in a scary way, right?
Yeah.
And so, because that I think messes with them. They're not expecting in the middle of Caledonia for somebody to speak Spanish to them. So,
well, it's funny because I had one of my actors here decide that they would learn a couple Spanish words or phrases and start using them. So she was up in the house and she starts saying these Spanish words, and then some Spanish speaking people went through and was just like, oh shit. So they start talking. She's like, oops. What is happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of backfired, but I got this priest. It's she's I guess a priestess. But she got this big red robe, and we make this mask at Creature Courts, this goat mask with these big horns. Cool. It looks badass. It's latex mask. I love it. I'm not a big fan of latex masks, but this one's latex, and I just like it because I can actually wear it, and my head's huge, so it'll fit on me. But she wears this thing, and she goes, I went out, and she goes, I've been studying Latin, and I've been really, and she just has all these Latin phrases. I'm like, you're actually doing that right because nobody knows that language.
Right.
And it does. I mean, if you can't understand it, I mean, think of all the horror movies where like, they're doing the exorcism and whatever, and they're speaking in that Latin tongue, and it's like, that is scary.
Yeah.
Not understanding and having the right ambiance, and that's kind of a phobia in itself, right? Like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying to me?
You have no clue what.
Are you saying you're going to kill me? Or are you going to say like?
But that is good though, just to say the funny things like,
Yeah.
Where is the library?
Right.
That's why I told him, I was like, man, you can say anything. Just make it sound mean and in Spanish, and they're not going to know what it was.
Yeah.
La biblioteca tiene libros. The library has books. Like,
right. They would have no clue.
Right.
And then someone that would, like, hear you say that, they just think you're nuts.
Right.
You know what I mean? They'd be like, what the hell did you say that for?
Of course she's in a cuckoo house, right?
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
No, we have. Yeah.
That's good, though. So did you learn Spanish in school, or was it from being in Mexico?
I took it in high school. I had a really strong Spanish teacher there.
Yeah.
And then I took it at Ohio State, and I thought that I was really good. And then I moved to Mexico for a year, and I realized I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So I learned most of my Spanish from boat drivers and cooks.
Nice.
So one of the first times I met my mother-in-law, I said, like, something was a mess, but I said, like, it was a fucking mess.
Like you said that to her?
Yeah, like, desmadre is, like, a fucking mess. It's not a mess, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, my husband looked at me like, and I'm like, what? I just said it was a mess. Like, and he's like, no, you didn't. No, you said it was a little more than just a mess. And I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I thought desmadre was mess.
Yeah.
Like,
well, now that you know.
Now that I know.
Say that to me, not her.
Right.
It's funny because my father and like all my aunts and uncles, I mean, it was Spanish at home. You know what I mean? They didn't learn English until they went to school because they lived in Texas, moved up here. Well, my dad, because I don't know Spanish at all, and my dad, will talk to people, but the actual Spanish, he's like, I have no clue what they're saying half the time. So he goes, I'm just like you in that sense, because he's like, if somebody's speaking proper Spanish to him, he's like, huh? You know what I mean?
Well, and the accents are totally different. Like
it is, yeah.
I learned in Baja, so you have like Baja's like the melting pot of Mexico. Like people from all over the different states kind of have settled there, and they have like their own culture. But just like in the U.S., you have somebody Texas is very different than Ohio. Right. The dialogue, the lingo, the accent. Yeah. And it's no different in Mexico. So sometimes even though I understand, they'll speak faster or they'll slur their words together.
Yeah.
And so.
My grandfather when he moved up here, when him and my grandma moved up here from Texas, he worked on the railroad. So he didn't know any Spanish. Mm-hmm. And his boss, what he did, there was 2 Mexican guys on the crew. It's my grandfather and another gentleman. And they're like, no, you guys are not working together. You're going to work on this crew. You're going to work on this crew. So that way you can learn English. And so my grandpa learned English just at work. Okay. Now, it's funny because I can't remember the name of the city he was born in, but when he speaks English, when he spoke English, he's passed away now, but when he would talk to you, you get it after a while, but his accent is so thick. Yeah. I mean, the stereotypical Mexican accent you would think of, that's my grandfather. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you're just sitting there just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. You know what I mean? Trying to just figure out what the hell he's saying. But the accent does make a difference.
Mm-hmm, it does.
Yeah. And then when we had relatives come up, I guess one time, my dad was talking to them in Spanish, and they were just laughing at him. They're like, why are you talking like that? He's like, what are you talking about?
It's like the Spanglish. Like, yeah. Well, it is. And it might seem like something, like with me, you feel like it's in Spanish or you feel like it's a proper word, but it's really just who you're hanging around with. Yeah. Like, it's a Spanglish word that he thought was Spanish, maybe. I've also done that. You add an O to it, and sometimes it changes an English word to Spanish for real. Right. So you're like...
That's what makes it hard about learning. I mean, I've tried. I mean, I know a little, like, some words and stuff, but can't have a conversation, you know what I mean? But when... It was probably in, like, the... I don't know, early 2000s, 02, 03, somewhere in there was a big influx into Ohio of, I don't know if it was migrant Mexican workers. I'm not sure, but they all moved in. And like I said, I grew up in Upper Sandusky. My dad still lives over there. So there was all these Mexican guys that would come to my dad because he's a mechanic. Mm-hmm. And he would work on his car, or he would work on their cars because he could speak Spanish and talk to them. But it was funny as hell because he would just be sitting there. And to me, my dad's speaking 100 miles an hour. Right. And I'm sitting there just kind of like laughing because he would be like saying something and then he would say carburetor. Right. Well, he doesn't know that word. I asked muffler.
Paco's. From Mexico. He grew up in Mexico City. His mother tongue is in Spanish, and my brother's building a house, and one of the contractors only spoke Spanish, and so I was like, okay, I'll call him and see if he wants to give us a price for the drywall, and so I poked my head back in. I'm like, babe, how do you say drywall? Yeah, and he's like, I don't know. Yeah. Because they don't use right. It's mostly brick and mortar type. Sure. And so he looked it up and he's like, pañales de yeso. And I'm like, okay.
Well, let's hope that's what it means, and it's not a fucking mess.
Right.
That would be the other funny thing, is just saying all these things that you have no.
No,
clue
it is.
about.
It's happened several times where I just thought it was, because that's how you interpret what they're saying, and you're like, okay, I get the gist of that, and you don't realize that they were cussing.
Cameron, what other languages do you speak?
Asshole. Sarcasm.
There you go. I'm fluent in that, man. We're good on that one. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you coming up for this. I'd love to have you back on. I am going to take you guys up on the coming down to check out Phobia, because I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see the Ego Center. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're older.
Yeah, okay.
Like my youngest one will be 15 in June, so.
Sweet.
But I mean, I want to come and see it.
Awesome. Right. We'd love to have you anytime.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, Cameron, Emily, thank you guys for being on the show. I appreciate it. Do it again.
Yep.
And good luck in 2023, okay?
You as well.
Same
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank
Thanks.
you.